Have you ever felt the ground shift beneath your feet? A subtle tremor, imperceptible to others but devastating to you. It often starts with a lie. Lies, even the smallest ones, are like termites. They silently eat away at the foundation of trust. They hollow out the strongest structures, leaving them vulnerable to collapse. Think about it. A seemingly insignificant white lie to avoid hurting someone's feelings. A slight exaggeration to impress a colleague. A carefully crafted omission to protect yourself from judgment. Each one a tiny crack in the edifice of honesty, but cracks, no matter how small, have a way of widening. They spread like fissures in parched earth, fracturing what was once solid and whole. The problem with lies is that they breed suspicion. Once you've been caught in one, even the most innocent statements become suspect. Every word is scrutinized, every action questioned. It's like living in a hall of mirrors where reality is distorted and nothing is quite as it seems. You start to doubt your own perceptions, wondering if you're seeing things as they truly are or if you're being manipulated. And that doubt, that insidious seed of uncertainty, it poisons everything. It erodes intimacy, creating distance where there was once closeness. It fosters resentment, turning affection into bitterness. Lies are not just about deceiving others. They're about deceiving yourself. They're about creating a false narrative, a carefully constructed illusion that you desperately try to maintain. But the truth has a way of surfacing. It may be buried deep, hidden beneath layers of deception, but it always finds a way to break through. And when it does, the consequences can be devastating. Relationships crumble, friendships dissolve, families are torn apart. All because of a few carefully chosen words, or more accurately, a few carefully avoided ones. Why do we lie? Is it to protect ourselves, to protect others, to avoid conflict, to gain an advantage? The reasons are as varied as the lies themselves, but beneath them all lies a common thread: fear. Fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of vulnerability. We lie because we're afraid of what will happen if we tell the truth. We're afraid of exposing our flaws, our weaknesses, our imperfections. But the irony is that honesty, even when it's painful, is the only way to build truly strong and resilient relationships. It's the only way to create a foundation of trust that can withstand the storms of life. Think about the people you admire most, the ones you trust implicitly. What qualities do they possess? Honesty is undoubtedly at the top of the list. These are the people who tell you the truth, even when it's not what you want to hear. The ones who are willing to be vulnerable, to share their struggles and their fears. They are not perfect, but they are authentic. And it's that authenticity that draws us to them, that makes us feel safe and secure in their presence. Honesty is not always easy. It requires courage, vulnerability, and a willingness to face uncomfortable truths. But the rewards are immeasurable. It allows us to connect with others on a deeper level, to build relationships based on mutual respect and understanding, to create a world where trust is the norm, not the exception. So, how do we cultivate honesty in our own lives? It starts with self-awareness, with taking a hard look at our own behavior and identifying the areas where we tend to be less than truthful. Are we exaggerating our accomplishments? Are we downplaying our failures? Are we avoiding difficult conversations? Once we've identified these patterns, we can begin to challenge them. To ask ourselves why we're lying and what we're afraid of. And then we can start to practice honesty one small step at a time. To tell the truth even when it's uncomfortable. To be vulnerable even when it's scary. It won't be easy. There will be times when you'll be tempted to revert to your old habits. But remember why you're doing this. Remember the kind of relationships you want to build. Remember that honesty is not just a virtue, it's a gift. A gift you give to yourself and to the people you care about. And what about when you're on the receiving end of a lie? What do you do when someone you trust betrays you? It's natural to feel hurt, angry, and betrayed. To question everything you thought you knew about that person. But it's important to remember that being hurt by lies is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of the other person's choices. You cannot control their behavior, but you can control your reaction. You can choose to forgive, or you can choose to walk away. There is no right or wrong answer. The best choice is the one that feels right for you. The one that allows you to move forward with your life without carrying the burden of resentment and bitterness. Forgiveness is not about condoning the other person's behavior. It's about releasing yourself from the pain and anger that are holding you back. It's about choosing to let go of the past and embrace the future. It's about recognizing that everyone makes mistakes and that we all deserve a second chance. But forgiveness is not always possible. Sometimes the damage is too great. Sometimes the trust is irreparably broken. In those cases, it's okay to walk away. It's okay to protect yourself from further harm. It's okay to prioritize your own well-being. The most important thing is to be honest with yourself, to acknowledge your feelings and to make choices that are aligned with your values. Don't let someone else's lies define you. Don't let them steal your joy or your peace. You are worthy of love, respect, and honesty. And remember, choosing honesty is not always the easiest path, but it is always the most beautiful. It's the path that leads to authentic connection, to lasting relationships, and to a life filled with meaning and purpose. Think about the power of truth, the way it can illuminate even the darkest corners, the way it can heal the deepest wounds. Truth is not always comfortable. It can be painful, confronting, and even terrifying. But it is always liberating. It frees us from the burden of deception. It allows us to be our authentic selves. It empowers us to live our lives with integrity and purpose. So embrace honesty. Cultivate it in your own life. Demand it from others. And watch as your relationships flourish, your trust deepens, and your world transforms. Consider the impact of honesty on society as a whole. Imagine a world where everyone told the truth, where there were no lies, no deception, no manipulation. It would be a world of greater trust, greater cooperation, and greater understanding. A world where people could feel safe and secure, knowing that they were being treated with respect and honesty. It may seem like a utopian dream, but it's not impossible. It starts with each of us making a commitment to honesty in our own lives, to being truthful in our words, our actions, and our intentions, to holding ourselves accountable for our behavior, to demanding honesty from those around us. It's a challenging journey, but it's a journey worth taking, because the rewards are immeasurable. A world built on honesty is a world worth fighting for. A world where everyone can thrive, where everyone can reach their full potential, and where everyone can live a life filled with meaning and purpose. Let's talk about the different types of lies. There are white lies, which are intended to protect someone's feelings. There are exaggerations, which are intended to impress others. There are omissions, which are intended to conceal the truth. And there are outright lies, which are intended to deceive. Some lies are more harmful than others, but all lies, regardless of their intent, have the potential to erode trust and damage relationships. Even white lies can be problematic, because they can create a sense of unease and distrust. People may sense that you're not being entirely truthful, even if they can't put their finger on why. And once that seed of doubt is planted, it can be difficult to eradicate. It can lead to a breakdown in communication and a weakening of the relationship. Exaggerations can also be damaging, because they can create unrealistic expectations. People may be disappointed when they discover that the reality doesn't live up to the hype. And that disappointment can lead to resentment and mistrust. It can also damage your credibility. People may start to question your judgment and your integrity. Omissions can be particularly insidious because they can be difficult to detect. You may not even realize that someone is withholding information from you. But omissions can be just as harmful as outright lies, because they can prevent you from making informed decisions. They can also create a sense of isolation and alienation. Outright lies are the most damaging of all. Because they are a direct assault on trust, they are a clear indication that the other person does not respect you or value your relationship. It can be difficult to recover from an outright lie. The damage can be irreparable. It may be necessary to end the relationship in order to protect yourself. So, what can you do to prevent lies from damaging your relationships? The first step is to be honest with yourself, to acknowledge your own tendency to lie. The second step is to communicate openly and honestly with others, to share your thoughts and feelings even when it's difficult. The third step is to set clear boundaries, to let people know what you expect from them in terms of honesty and integrity. The fourth step is to be forgiving, to recognize that everyone makes mistakes, to be willing to give people a second chance if they are truly remorseful. The fifth step is to protect yourself, to walk away from relationships that are based on lies and deception. It's not always easy to be honest, but it's always the right thing to do, because honesty is the foundation of all strong and healthy relationships. Let's consider some real-life examples of how lies can damage relationships. Imagine a couple where one partner is having an affair. The affair is a lie in itself, but the lies don't stop there. The partner who is having the affair will likely lie to their spouse about their whereabouts, their activities, and their feelings. These lies can create a deep sense of betrayal and mistrust. The spouse who is being lied to may feel like their entire relationship has been a sham. It can be difficult to recover from such a betrayal. The relationship may never be the same. It may even end in divorce. Another example is a friendship where one friend is constantly borrowing money from the other. The friend who is borrowing the money may lie about their reasons for needing it. They may exaggerate their financial difficulties or downplay their spending habits. These lies can create a sense of resentment and mistrust. The friend who is lending the money may start to feel like they're being taken advantage of. They may eventually stop lending money, which can damage the friendship. A third example is a family where one member is struggling with addiction. The family member who is struggling with addiction may lie about their substance use. They may deny that they have a problem or minimize the extent of their addiction. These lies can create a sense of denial and dysfunction within the family. The family members who are being lied to may feel helpless and frustrated. They may try to intervene, but their efforts may be met with resistance. Addiction is a disease that thrives on secrecy and deception. It can be difficult to break through the lies and denial. But it's essential to do so in order to help the family member who is struggling with addiction. These are just a few examples of how lies can damage relationships. Lies can create a climate of fear, distrust, and resentment. They can erode intimacy and destroy connection. It's important to be aware of the potential consequences of lying and to make a conscious effort to be honest in all of your relationships. Honesty is not always easy, but it's always the best policy because it's the foundation of all strong and healthy relationships. Now, let's delve into the psychology of lying. Why do people lie? What motivates them to deceive others? There are many different reasons why people lie. Some people lie to protect themselves from punishment or embarrassment. They may be afraid of the consequences of telling the truth. They may believe that lying is the only way to avoid getting into trouble. Other people lie to protect others from harm. They may believe that the truth would be too painful or upsetting. They may want to spare someone's feelings. Still, other people lie to gain an advantage over others. They may want to manipulate or control someone. They may believe that lying is the only way to get what they want. Some people lie habitually. They may have learned to lie at a young age. They may not even realize that they're lying. Habitual lying can be a sign of a deeper psychological problem. It may be associated with personality disorders, such as antisocial personality disorder or narcissistic personality disorder. Lying can also be a coping mechanism for dealing with stress or trauma. People who have experienced abuse or neglect may learn to lie as a way to protect themselves. Lying can be a complex and multifaceted behavior. There is no single explanation for why people lie. The motivations behind lying can vary depending on the individual, the situation, and the relationship. It's important to understand the psychology of lying in order to better understand why people lie and how to prevent lying from damaging relationships. Let's discuss some strategies for detecting lies. How can you tell if someone is lying to you? There is no foolproof way to detect lies, but there are some clues that you can look for. One clue is changes in body language. Liars may avoid eye contact, fidget, or sweat excessively. They may also change their tone of voice or their speech patterns. They may speak more quickly or more slowly than usual. They may also use more filler words, such as or ah. Another clue is inconsistencies in their story. Liars may have difficulty remembering the details of their lies. They may contradict themselves or provide conflicting information. They may also be evasive or defensive when asked questions. They may try to change the subject or avoid answering the question directly. Another clue is a gut feeling. Sometimes you just have a feeling that someone is lying to you. Trust your intuition. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Don't ignore your gut feeling. It may be telling you something important. It's important to remember that these clues are not always accurate. People may exhibit these behaviors for other reasons. They may be nervous, anxious, or uncomfortable. They may simply be bad at telling stories. It's important to consider the context of the situation when interpreting these clues. Don't jump to conclusions. Give people the benefit of the doubt. If you suspect that someone is lying to you, the best approach is to ask direct questions. Be specific and clear. Don't beat around the bush. Give the person an opportunity to explain themselves. Listen carefully to their response. Pay attention to their body language and their tone of voice. If you're still not sure whether they're telling the truth, you can try to verify their story. Look for corroborating evidence. Talk to other people who may have information about the situation. Ultimately, the decision of whether to believe someone is up to you. Trust your judgment. If you don't feel comfortable with their explanation, it's okay to walk away. Protect yourself from being manipulated or deceived. Don't let someone else's lies control your life. Let's talk about how to rebuild trust after a lie. It's a difficult process, but it's possible. The first step is for the liar to admit their lie and take responsibility for their actions. They need to acknowledge the harm they caused and express genuine remorse. This is not always easy. It requires humility and vulnerability. The liar needs to be willing to face the consequences of their actions. The second step is for the liar to make amends. They need to do whatever they can to repair the damage they caused. This may involve apologizing, making restitution, or changing their behavior. The specific actions will depend on the nature of the lie and the relationship. The third step is for the person who was lied to forgive the liar. This is perhaps the most difficult step of all. Forgiveness is not about condoning the liar's behavior. It's about releasing the anger and resentment that you're holding onto. Forgiveness is a process, not an event. It takes time and effort. It may involve working through your feelings with a therapist or counselor. The fourth step is to rebuild trust. This takes time and consistency. The liar needs to consistently demonstrate that they are trustworthy. They need to be honest, reliable, and accountable. They need to earn back the trust that they lost. Rebuilding trust is a two-way street. The person who was lied to also needs to be willing to trust again. They need to let go of their suspicion and doubt. They need to give the liar a chance to prove themselves. Rebuilding trust is not always possible. Sometimes the damage is too great. Sometimes the relationship is beyond repair. But if both parties are willing to work at it, it is possible to rebuild trust and create a stronger, more resilient relationship. It requires honesty, vulnerability, and a commitment to change. It's a challenging journey, but it's a journey worth taking. Now, let's discuss the role of honesty in leadership. Honesty is an essential quality for any leader. Leaders who are honest are more likely to be trusted and respected by their followers. They are also more likely to be effective in their roles. Honest leaders are transparent and open. They communicate clearly and honestly with their followers. They don't hide information or try to manipulate people. Honest leaders are also accountable. They take responsibility for their actions and their decisions. They don't blame others or make excuses. Honest leaders are ethical. They adhere to a strong moral code. They don't compromise their values for personal gain. Honesty is essential for building trust. Trust is the foundation of any successful organization. When people trust their leaders, they are more likely to be engaged, motivated, and productive. They are also more likely to be loyal to the organization. Dishonest leaders, on the other hand, can create a climate of fear, distrust, and resentment. This can lead to decreased morale, decreased productivity, and increased turnover. Dishonest leaders may also be more likely to engage in unethical or illegal behavior. This can damage the organization's reputation and lead to legal problems. Honesty is not always easy. It requires courage and integrity, but it is always the right thing to do. Leaders who are honest are more likely to create a positive and productive work environment. They are also more likely to achieve long. The air hangs heavy with unspoken words, a silence born not of peace, but of a deep, festering wound. It's a silence that screams louder than any argument, a void where laughter and shared dreams once echoed. This is the aftermath of deceit, the desolate landscape left behind when trust, the very bedrock of connection, is shattered. It begins so subtly, almost imperceptibly. A small omission here, a carefully crafted half-truth there. We tell ourselves it's for the best, a way to shield someone from pain, to avoid conflict, to maintain a fragile equilibrium. We rationalize it as a kindness, a necessary compromise in a world that demands constant negotiation. But the insidious nature of dishonesty lies in its gradual creep, its ability to transform from a minor infraction into a suffocating web. Like a tiny seed planted in fertile ground, a single lie can sprout and blossom into a monstrous entanglement, its roots reaching deep into the heart of the relationship, choking the life out of everything it touches. One falsehood necessitates another, and another, until the truth becomes a distant memory, obscured by layers of fabrication. The weight of these untruths accumulates, pressing down on the soul, creating a constant state of anxiety and unease. The simple act of communication, once a source of joy and connection, becomes a minefield of potential missteps, each word carefully scrutinized, each gesture analyzed for hidden meaning. The person who was once a safe haven, a source of unwavering support, now becomes a figure of suspicion. Doubt gnaws at the edges of the heart, whispering insidious questions. Can I really trust them? Are they being honest with me? What else are they hiding? The foundation of the relationship, once solid and unshakable, begins to crack and crumble. The shared history, the cherished memories, the dreams for the future all become tainted by the shadow of deception. The joy fades, replaced by a gnawing sense of betrayal and disillusionment. The tragedy is that often, the person who perpetrates the lie doesn't fully grasp the magnitude of the damage they inflict. They may see it as a minor transgression, a harmless white lie intended to protect or appease, but they fail to recognize the profound impact it has on the other person, the way it chips away at their sense of security and self-worth. They don't see the sleepless nights spent agonizing over the truth, the constant replay of conversations searching for inconsistencies, the erosion of trust that slowly poisons the entire relationship. And even when confronted, they may resort to denial, deflection, or further lies to protect themselves from the consequences of their actions. They may argue that they were acting out of love, that they didn't want to hurt the other person, that they had good intentions. But these justifications ring hollow in the face of the pain and devastation they have caused. The truth is, dishonesty, in any form, is a violation of the sacred bond that exists between two people. It's a betrayal of the trust that was freely given, a disregard for the other person's feelings and well-being. The consequences of such betrayal can be far-reaching and long-lasting. The relationship may never fully recover, the scars of deceit remaining as a permanent reminder of the broken trust. The injured party may struggle with feelings of anger, resentment, and grief, questioning their own judgment and doubting their ability to trust again. They may withdraw emotionally, building walls around their heart to protect themselves from further pain. But even in the midst of this devastation, there is hope. The path to healing may be long and arduous, but it is possible to emerge from the ashes of deceit stronger and more resilient than before. The first step is to acknowledge the pain and allow oneself to grieve the loss of the relationship as it once was. It's important to recognize that being hurt by lies is not a reflection of one's own worth or lovability. It's a reflection of the choices made by the other person, their inability to be honest and vulnerable. It's also crucial to forgive oneself for any perceived shortcomings or mistakes that may have contributed to the situation. Self-blame only perpetuates the cycle of pain and prevents healing from taking place. Instead, focus on cultivating self-compassion and understanding, recognizing that everyone makes mistakes and that it's okay to feel vulnerable and imperfect. The next step is to establish clear boundaries and expectations for future relationships. This means being honest with oneself about what one needs and deserves in a partner, and being willing to walk away from relationships that don't meet those needs. It also means communicating one's boundaries clearly and assertively, and being willing to enforce them if they are violated. Trust is not something that can be demanded or forced. It must be earned through consistent honesty and integrity. Look for partners who demonstrate these qualities in their words and actions, who are willing to be open and vulnerable, and who are committed to building a relationship based on mutual respect and trust. It's also important to remember that healing takes time. There will be good days and bad days, moments of clarity and moments of doubt. Be patient with yourself and allow yourself to feel whatever emotions arise without judgment. Seek support from friends, family, or a therapist if needed. Talking about the experience can be incredibly helpful in processing the pain and gaining perspective. Ultimately, the choice is yours. You can choose to remain trapped in the cycle of deceit and pain, or you can choose to break free and create a life filled with honesty, integrity, and genuine connection. You have the power to heal, to forgive, and to move forward. You have the power to choose relationships that are built on trust, respect, and love. And as you embark on this journey, remember that you are not alone. Many others have walked this path before you, and they have emerged stronger and more resilient on the other side. Trust in your own strength and resilience, and know that you are capable of creating a life filled with joy, happiness, and authentic connection. The scars of the past may remain, but they will serve as a reminder of your strength and your ability to overcome adversity. They will be a testament to your unwavering commitment to honesty, integrity, and love. So, let go of the bitterness and resentment and embrace the possibility of a brighter future. Choose honesty, choose trust, choose love. For in the end, these are the values that truly matter. The values that will guide you towards a life filled with meaning, purpose, and genuine connection.